She texted, "I'm sleeping at my ex's house tonight. You need to prove you're not the insecure type by being okay with it." I replied, "Prove what you need to." Then I called her ex's wife and asked if she knew my fiancé was sleeping over. The three-way conference call she accidentally picked. "Look, I'm not proud of how I handled this. Actually, scratch that. I'm absolutely proud of it. But I'm supposed to start these posts with some kind of faux humility, right? So here's the deal. 6 weeks ago, I, 36M, was engaged to Stephanie, 34F, my girlfriend of 2 years. Notice the past tense. We lived together in a decent apartment in Chicago, Illinois, relevant for legal reasons later, split the bills evenly, and generally had what I thought was a solid relationship. I'm an architect specializing in sustainable commercial buildings. She's a digital marketing director at a mid-sized agency. No kids, just a judgy cat named Maurice who has never fully accepted me as his rightful roommate. Stephanie and I met at a friend's housewarming party, bonded over our mutual hatred of IPAs, and had been relatively drama-free for most of our relationship. We got engaged on our second anniversary with plans to marry next summer at a parents' lake house in Wisconsin. Everything was fine. Normal. Boring, even. Until the text. I was away at a 3-day professional conference in Denver. Nothing exciting, just a bunch of architects talking about carbon-neutral building materials and arguing about whether Frank Gehry is a visionary or a menace. It was my second night away, and I was getting ready for bed when my phone buzzed at 11:37 p.m. with a message from Stephanie. "Hey, ran into Jason at the Murphy's tonight. We got to talking, and it's getting late, so I'm just gonna crash at his place instead of Ubering home. You need to prove you're not the insecure type by being okay with this. Love you." For context, Jason is Stephanie's ex from about 4 years ago. They dated for around 3 years before breaking up over lifestyle differences, his words, his inability to hold down a job while playing video games 30 hours a week, her words. I'd met him exactly twice, once at a mutual friend's birthday, where he spent the evening telling anyone who would listen about his cryptocurrency investments, and once when he randomly showed up at our favorite bar, and Stephanie felt obligated to invite him to join us. Both times, he made a point of reminiscing about inside jokes and that crazy weekend in Montreal, while looking directly at me. What Stephanie had conveniently left out of her text was that Jason had been married for about a year to a woman named Claire. I only knew this because I'd seen the wedding photos on Instagram when our mutual friend had attended their destination wedding in Mexico. So to recap, my fiancée was crashing at her ex-boyfriend's place, framing it as some kind of test of my security level, and seemingly ignoring the fact that said ex now had a whole wife. I stared at my phone for a solid 5 minutes. My first instinct was to call her immediately and ask what the hell she was thinking. My second instinct was to book the next flight back to Chicago. But then a strange calm washed over me. It was the kind of calm that only comes when you suddenly realize exactly who you're dealing with. I typed back, "Prove what you need to. We'll talk when I'm home tomorrow." Then I did something I'm not particularly proud of, but that I will absolutely never regret. I looked up Jason on social media, found his wife Claire's profile, and from there got her phone number listed on her business page. She's a real estate agent with one of those call me anytime business cell phone numbers prominently displayed. I called her at 9:58 p.m. Mountain Time, 10:58 p.m. her time in Chicago. Being in Colorado, a one-party consent state for call recordings, I wasn't concerned about any legal issues with the call. "Hello," she answered. I later learned she always answered unknown numbers, even late, because as a successful real estate agent, late calls from new clients were how she built her business. "Hi, is this Claire, Jason's wife?" "Yes. Who's this?" Understandable suspicion in her voice. "You don't know me, but my name is Alex. I'm engaged to Stephanie Weber. I believe you might know her as Jason's ex-girlfriend?" A pause. "Oh, yes, I know who Stephanie is. I'm really sorry to bother you so late, but I thought you should know that Stephanie just texted me saying she's planning to spend the night at your house with Jason. I wanted to check if that was something you were aware of and comfortable with." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. "Claire, are you still there?" "I'm here," she said, her voice tight. And no, I wasn't aware of that arrangement, considering I'm currently visiting my sister in Iowa. Jason told me he was having a guys' night watching the game. Ah, I see. Again, I'm really sorry to be the one to... Don't apologize, she cut me off. I appreciate the call. Do you mind holding for a moment? I'm gonna add Jason to this call so we can sort this out. Not at all. I could hear muffled movements, and then Claire's voice, slightly distant from the phone. Hey Siri, call husband. What happened next was better than anything I could have orchestrated. Claire, using her iPhone's three-way calling feature, merged the calls, bringing all three of us into a single conversation. Just so you know, Alex, I'm adding Jason to our call now, Claire said before Jason picked up, making it clear to everyone that this was now a conference call. Babe, Jason answered cheerfully. There was music and chatter in the background. What's up? Thought you were having wine night with your sister. I am, Claire responded with remarkable composure. Hey, quick question. Is Stephanie Weber at our apartment right now? Jason fell silent for a moment. I could practically hear him calculating his options. What? No. Why would she be here? I'm at Tommy's watching the Bulls game. His voice had a slight nervous edge that hadn't been there when he first answered. At this point, I decided to helpfully chime in. Hi Jason, it's Alex, Stephanie's fiancée. She texted me about 20 minutes ago saying she was crashing at your place tonight. Just so you know. The background noise on Jason's end suddenly got quieter, as if he'd moved to a more private location. What the fuck? Who is this? Jason's voice had dropped to an urgent whisper. It's Alex. We've met twice. You told me about your Ethereum portfolio both times. And it's Claire, your wife, she added helpfully. Currently on speaker with Alex, who called to see if I was okay with your ex-girlfriend spending the night at our apartment. This is some kind of misunderstanding, Jason sputtered. I ran into Steph at Murphy's. We had like one drink, and she left. I'm at Tommy's with the guys. Interesting, I said, because according to her text, she's planning to sleep at your place tonight. Let me guess, Claire interjected, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Tommy suddenly got a cat named Whiskers that she's allergic to, so they had to relocate the guys' night to our apartment? And all the guys have mysteriously disappeared except for you and Stephanie? There was a long pause from Jason's end, followed by a defeated sigh. Claire, it's not what you think. Save it, she snapped. Is she there with you right now? Another pause. Yes. Put her on the phone. Some muffled conversation, and then Stephanie's voice came through, sounding confused. Hello? Hi Steph, it's Alex. I'm on a call with you, Jason, and his wife Claire. I was just letting Claire know about your sleeping arrangements for tonight, and oddly enough, it seems she wasn't consulted about this house guest situation. Alex? What the? Stephanie's voice was a mixture of shock and anger. Are you seriously calling to check up on me? This is exactly the kind of insecurity I was talking about. Actually, Claire cut in, he was calling to see if I was aware that my husband's ex-girlfriend was spending the night at our apartment while I'm out of town. Which I wasn't. So thank you, Alex, for your consideration. Claire? Stephanie's voice rose an octave. Jason told me you were fine with this. He said you guys have an understanding about staying friends with exes. Our understanding does not extend to sleepovers, Stephanie. At this point, the call devolved into chaos. Jason was trying to explain to Claire that it was all innocent. Stephanie was alternatively yelling at me for checking up on her and attempting to apologize to Claire, and Claire was mostly silent except for the occasional scoff or unfucking believable. I stayed on the line, mostly out of morbid curiosity, until Claire finally said, Jason, I'm getting on a flight back tomorrow morning. Have your stuff packed. Then she hung up. Stephanie called me back immediately. I can't believe you did that, she hissed. You had no right to interfere in my friendship with Jason. Friendship? I echoed. Is that what we're calling it? Nothing was going to happen. I just had too many drinks to drive and didn't want to pay for an Uber. They have these amazing new inventions called female friends, or hotels, or even calling your fiancé to discuss this plan before executing it. But instead, you framed it as a test of my insecurity. Because I knew you'd react like this. You've always been weird about Jason. Stephanie, his wife didn't know you were staying over. Does that not register as a red flag to you? She didn't have a good answer for that. After some more back and forth that went nowhere, she hung up on me. I tried to go back to my conference sessions the next morning, but it was hard to focus on renewable building materials when your relationship is imploding in real time. My phone kept buzzing with increasingly desperate texts from Stephanie. 10:14 a.m. I'm so sorry. You're right, it was inappropriate. Please call me back. I'm at home now. Jason and I really are just friends. Nothing has ever happened. Claire is overreacting. She's always been jealous of me. I made a mistake, but you crossed a line calling her. Are you really throwing away our relationship over one bad judgment call? I didn't respond to any of them. After lunch, I decided to skip the remaining day and a half of the conference and booked an earlier flight back to Chicago. Instead, I called my brother, explained the situation, and asked if I could crash at his place when I got back to Chicago that night. He agreed immediately, adding, I never liked her cat anyway. When I landed, I had a voicemail from Claire, of all people. Hey Alex, it's Claire, Jason's soon-to-be ex-wife. I just wanted to say thank you for the call yesterday. It's not fine, obviously, but I'm glad I know. Anyway, I thought you might want to know that when I got home today, I found some of Stephanie's things in our apartment, an earring on the nightstand and her toiletry bag in our bathroom. So, take that information for what it's worth. I'm sorry you're going through this too. Take care. I picked up my car from the long-term parking, drove to my brother's place, and finally replied to Stephanie with a single text. I'll be by tomorrow at 2 p.m. to pick up my things. Please be out of the apartment during that time. She called immediately. I didn't answer. She called 4 more times. I turned off my phone. The next day, I went to our apartment at exactly 2 p.m. Stephanie was, of course, there, despite my request. Maurice the cat watched judgmentally from the top of the bookshelf as she followed me around, alternating between apologies, explanations, and accusations. It's not what you think. We were just catching up. Nothing happened. If you really loved me, you'd forgive one mistake. I can't believe you called his wife. That's a violation of my privacy. You've never trusted me around Jason. Are you really this insecure? I packed methodically, focusing on getting all my important documents, irreplaceable items, and enough clothes to get by. The whole time, I said almost nothing, which seemed to frustrate her more than anything I could have said. Maurice continued to observe the proceedings with his usual feline disdain, occasionally yawning as if our human drama bored him. Finally, as I was about to leave, she blocked the door. You can't just throw away 2 years over one misunderstanding. I was drunk, I made a bad decision, but I love you. I looked her straight in the eye. Stephanie, you texted me your plan to stay at another man's house. You framed it as a test of my insecurity. You didn't mention his wife wasn't home. And according to her, this wasn't the first time you'd been there. So, I have to ask, what exactly am I misunderstanding? She didn't have a good answer for that. I left my key on the counter, gave Maurice a final scratch behind the ears, which he tolerated magnanimously, and walked out. The aftermath was pretty much what you'd expect. Mutual friends choosing sides, awkward explanations to family about why the wedding was off. Stephanie cycling through various narratives. I was controlling, I was insecure, I overreacted, I humiliated her. She was just going through some personal issues and made one mistake, etc. 2 weeks later, I was having drinks with my friend Mike, who had been at Murphy's the night of the text. According to Mike, Stephanie and Jason had been meeting there regularly for at least a month, always sitting in a back corner booth in the downstairs section where they thought none of our friends would notice them. He hadn't thought much of it. After all, exes can be friends, until I told him what happened. Man, I'm sorry, he said. If I'd known, I would have said something. Not your fault, I assured him. Some red flags you just don't want to see. 3 months later, I was mostly moved on. I'd found a new apartment, thrown myself into work, and had even gone on a few casual dates. Nothing serious, but it was nice to be reminded that there were normal, honest people out there. Breaking our lease had required giving 60 days notice and paying a 2-month penalty fee, but my mental health was worth more than the $3,600 it cost me to get out of there. Then came the email. From Claire Johnson. Subject, thought you might want to see this. Body. No pressure to respond, just thought you deserved to know the truth. Attached was a screenshot of a text conversation between Jason and Stephanie from 5 months ago, well before the text, when we were still happily engaged. Claire had discovered these messages when going through their jointly owned iPad during court-mandated disclosure of financial information as part of their divorce proceedings. Jason, still on for tomorrow night? C is at her mom's all weekend. Definitely. A's at that boring work dinner, so I'm all yours. Same arrangement as last time? Perfect. Don't forget to bring that thing we talked about. Already packed. Can't wait. Claire had added a note at the bottom. Found these while going through Jason's old iPad during divorce proceedings. There are more, going back almost a year. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I thought you should know you didn't overreact. Hope you're doing better than I am. I sat staring at that email for a long time. Part of me was devastated to have confirmed that the relationship I thought was solid had been a lie for much longer than I realized. But another part of me felt an odd sense of relief. I hadn't been crazy, I hadn't overreacted, and I had dodged a bullet. I wrote back a simple response. Thank you for sharing this. I hope you're finding your way forward. You deserve better too. 2 days later, Claire responded with an invitation to get coffee. No romantic intentions, she clarified. Just thought it might be nice to talk to someone who understands the specific hell we've both been through. We met at a small cafe downtown. What was supposed to be a quick coffee turned into a 3-hour conversation. Claire was funny, insightful, and refreshingly direct. All qualities I now realized Stephanie had lacked. We shared war stories about the aftermath, compared the ridiculous excuses Jason and Stephanie had made, and actually laughed more than I had in months. We didn't exchange numbers afterward. It was too soon for both of us, and there was something too symmetrical, too neat about the wronged fiancé and the wronged wife finding comfort with each other. Life isn't a romantic comedy after all. But a month later, I ran into Claire at a bookstore. Then again at a farmer's market. By the third coincidence, we admitted we were frequenting each other's regular spots, hoping to bump into each other, and finally exchanged numbers properly. We've been dating for 2 months now, though dating might be too strong a word for the first several weeks, which consisted mainly of cautious coffee meetings, where we talked through our experiences with therapists' voices in our heads, warning us about trauma bonding. Both of us are still healing, still cautious. But there's something powerful about being with someone who has seen exactly how you can be hurt and chooses to be careful with you anyway. Last week, Stephanie texted me out of the blue. Heard you're dating Claire now. Isn't that a little pathetic? The sad betrayed couple finding solace together? Guess you're not as evolved as you thought. I showed the text to Claire. She laughed and suggested a response. I typed exactly what she dictated. Actually, we bonded over our mutual excellent taste and subsequent poor judgment. But we're working on the judgment part. Hope you and Jason are happy together. Stephanie's response came immediately. We're not together. He's dating some 22-year-old yoga instructor. Claire and I decided not to respond to that one. Instead, we ordered takeout, opened a bottle of wine, and toasted to the strange ways life can lead you exactly where you need to be, even if the route is painful. Maurice the cat still hates me, though. Some things never change. He's still with Stephanie, and despite some suggestions from Reddit strangers to orchestrate an elaborate catnapping, I'm not about to start a pet custody battle. He's microchipped in her name anyway, and honestly, they deserve each other. He always did prefer her. TLDR, Fiancée said she was spending the night at her ex's place to test if I was the insecure type. I called the ex's wife to see if she knew about this arrangement. She didn't. Wife conference called the husband, chaos ensued, relationships imploded. Turns out, fiancé and ex had been having an affair for months. The wife and I are now cautiously dating each other. Karma works in mysterious ways. Edit. For those asking if this is fake, because who would be stupid enough to text their fiancé they're staying at an ex's house? You'd be surprised what people think they can get away with when they've been successfully lying for months. She thought I was the cool, trusting fiancé who would just accept her explanation without question. After all, I had before. Edit 2. Wow. Didn't expect this to blow up. For those asking for wedding relationship money details, we hadn't put down many non-refundable deposits yet, thankfully. The ring was my grandmother's, so no loss there. The biggest cost was breaking the lease, as I mentioned above. Edit 3. Yes, Maurice is still with Stephanie. No, I can't steal him, even though some of you have suggested elaborate catnapping schemes. He's microchipped and, honestly, they deserve each other. He always did prefer her.